Everybody is looking to share their journey, their thoughts, and their experiences here. So before that, I'll ask all the panelists to do their introductions, and then probably we'll take it from there.
So hi everyone, myself Raj Anoop. I'm co-founder at Karunakar. So we had been very grateful to have me here, and many of us have met during this event, but this is a formal introduction which I'm trying to give it to you. So I've started my first company in 2015 on electric vehicle drivetrain platform for high performance passenger cars. And then 2019 I started another company called Karunakar. So we are here to make electric vehicle charging super easy, fast, net zero and profitable. That is very important point we are trying to make it here. And the way we are doing it is very different, and I would not just different I would say, but different which can lead to a real profitability in the charging space primarily. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nitin and the team for having me here. I'm Anoop Srikantaswamy, founder and CEO for Moonrider. We make electric tractors. So the core problem that we are trying to solve is the price parity. If I draw your attention from a cost vantage point, you have the total cost of ownership and the upfront cost, right? So more or less, total cost of ownership is a no-brainer. But what we are solving for is on the upfront cost side. So probably we are the only one right now who have bridged the gap between the upfront cost of ICE and Eveez. So it's been 15 months into this. We've deployed our first vehicle in Kenya, which is also one of our primary markets. So we focus on predominantly heavy-duty electric tractors. We don't directly sell it to the farmers. We partner with aggregators like Uber for tractor model. Likewise, we have partnerships in East Africa and India. So we've raised about 18 crores. Advantage and Xtrawrkx are our primary investors. So quick background about me. So 15 years into automotive, worked with Toyota, Volvo, lived in Japan, also in Gothenburg in Sweden. Was also head of R&D programs for Ola Electric. Worked slightly closely with Bhavish, so just good.
Just slightly.
So yeah, that's about.
Hi, it's a lovely place to be here and be able to talk to you guys about what we are building and what we are seeing in this ecosystem. I'm Gaurav Rathore, founder and CEO of Eveez, which is an electric mobility subscription platform for electric two-wheelers primarily. During the earlier panels, we have had discussions about what is it that is going to make or break this ecosystem where economics is driving the change. But still, it's not a straightforward answer. Otherwise, we would have had a lot more adoption by now. So we are looking at the problem of adoption, and specifically from a gig riders perspective, because they are the largest and the most early adopters of this change. So what we are trying to do is to solve for their entire EV ecosystem issues. What do they buy? How do we maintain? Where do they get it serviced? What do they do if they don't want to use it? So it's an entire solution. It's something like a WeWork for mobility, electric mobility. We are 4.5 years plus in the making. We are active in Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Chandigarh, Nagpur, and a few other cities. We have about 7,500 electric two-wheeler on our platform, and we are growing aggressively. We have Karan from EV2 Ventures, one of our earlier backers, and a few other angel funds and angel investors. We are currently raising our Series A round and going through the due diligence process. So my comment on about taking the time was from that perspective. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Hi everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks Nitin and Xtrawrkx for having me here. That's a wonderful place at Dharamshala. Meeting you all since yesterday. I'm Hareesha, Karunakar, founder CEO of Sloki Software Technologies. We are based out of Bangalore. We are a component manufacturer in electronic segments. We make the instrument clusters and VCUs and canvas analyzers for the EV and automotive industry. My personal background, I've been in the industry for 25 years. Started my career with Bosch and Honeywell, where I traveled to Germany, Austria, and other European countries. Worked on these automotive, especially on the diesel engine side. Sloki, I started 2011. It's been 15 years. On the product development side, it's post-COVID. So we developed, tested, prototype samples have been done. It's in production. It's a revenue generating company. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Vivek. Today I can say that I'm an accidental panelist. So on behalf of Zen Mobility, I'm representing Namit Jain today. Zen Mobility, we are a young age startup working in a logistics space. We are trying to offer a good quality product at fair and competitive price. That to completely 100% EV, 100% made in India. We don't outsource anything. We don't take anything from outside India. Overall, I have about 2.5 decades of experience in sales and business development. For the last 10 years, I'm into electric vehicle, built up a couple of brands. I was the first one to initiate multi-brand outlets in India by the name of Sahara Evolves, scaled up to 170 crores. Then built up another brand by the name of Hop Electric, again 104. This time the idea is to add one more zero to it. So I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
I think Gaurav, we should be catching hold of Vivek, please. So interesting variety here. So one is into battery, one is into EV tractors. A couple of them are into the fleet business, and one is into the component business. So I think the transition of the EV industry happened from say probably 2016, and post-COVID the more adoption happened, right? We have been in the industry for long years, probably Karunakar sir. But what do you think the next set of innovation that needs to happen because to accelerate the EV adoption? What are you looking at from your respective companies' business models? Probably can start from yours is the latest product, Anoop, so you can give a more idea about it.
So I think the entire automotive industry which you see right now, so it's been 10 decades. What if you remember the first production model of Ford in 1914, and today you see electric vehicles. So it been 100 years of R&D had went into the drivetrain platform for ICE vehicles, but it is the new thing which is coming, and it is accelerating at very fast pace. So I remember those days when I was sitting in my college in 2014, and my professor was telling me the smart, like how the manufacturing setup of Tesla looks like. And then I like that time Tesla was thing which initiated the entire EV revolution. But it is very good thing that happened. But we cannot treat the way we are treating the electric the ICE vehicles. EVs are different. So the fastest possible charging time it can happen, 20 minutes for Tesla, and somebody is talking about 3 minutes charging or battery swapping. So I'll not get into those discussions. But what primarily I think in the entire situation, the EV adoption can only happen, and the innovation that could make it happen to that we are primarily doing, the disintegrating the fixed point of getting juiced up to a variable point of juiced up. Because imagine today you have a Swiggy, Zomato, or Uber, where you're sitting at your couch and then you're ordering foods. So tomorrow, what I see, the energy can also be delivered, not just EV space, but in kind of any kind of powering your home or remote location or energy as a service. That's what primarily we have been working on. And from the prima facie, if you see what we are primarily doing, we are utilizing that 90% of your vehicle's lifetime when it's parked at certain location, either your home or either your office, or primarily the places where we spend more than 1 hour of time. So we are utilizing that percent to charge them. So how we are doing it? We have been working on so we have spent a good amount of time to be like days and nights. So we invested 4.5 years in R&D and making it really happening in India. Since I had a background, so I worked on EV with an intention to become an OEM in my first company. And then I understood this is not a transition of you can just do like that. So that's how that motivated me how to work on those aspect where you can make a sustainable ecosystem, I would say sustainable support system for making the higher adoption to happen with respect to the convenience, because convenience is something. If you're living here and you're getting your vehicle parked, and very interesting, I would tell you, like many of a time if somebody is driving, I'm driving electric vehicles since last 8 years. If in my basement I forget to switch on, which is very common thing, which phone ke saath bhi we have to, like, we plug it in but forget to switch on. So next morning you don't get your vehicle charged, and you cannot wait for 8 hours or 10 hours in your home infrastructure. So those nitty-gritties and those fundamental level we had been working on, and as an ecosystem, innovation is something. How sustainable innovation or ecosystem you want to create so that they can sustain for a longer, and that too, very important, that too, it's a typical chicken and egg problem. Which should come first? So you cannot burn cash like anything. Of course, you have to do you have some multiple metrics, but you have to be very much focused on how to make a sustainable business. That's what we have been working.
Interesting. So, what will energy delivered to your location in a sustainable manner? That's what will be.
Yeah.
Great.
So, Gopi, probably I would take a more strategic view here, right? So, if you look at from a well-to-wheel perspective, so there are multiple areas of innovation that you sort of look at. So, first is how do you distribute more efficiently the energy, right? Then, if you look at it from an infra standpoint, all the DC fast chargers today looks like coffins, right? So you need to miniaturize those in some sense to scale it. Then there are which brings aspects into alternate materials and stuff like that, right? So, and then if you move towards the product, today a lot of the things, I mean, no matter there are wonderful companies that are innovating, it's still not built for scale, right? So if you take batteries, motors, so there's a lot of scope for miniaturizing each one of those, which will be efficient in some sense. Now this is from a well to wheel, but beyond that is that the business model innovation, right? So to give you an anecdote, like if you look at the whole agri, right? So India is one of the largest tractor markets. We're at about $13 billion. We sold about 1 million tractors last year. Whereas, if you look at the tractor rental space, right, it's about a $32 billion industry. Right? It's fragmented. Nobody has solution. So every one of those startups, so to say, which attempted a sort of an Uber for tractor model failed. Right? So these are pre-COVID, but there are enough and more opportunity for those business models to evolve. So I think those are the areas of innovation that I would probably.
Interesting in the space of agri, I think. Not many people are doing it. Great. Gaurav.
So Anoop has very well put together the kind of innovation that is needed and is being attempted and being done on the well-to-wheel perspective, the product improvement, because that is the core of electrification. If the product is doing well, things will improve a lot. And the second part that he just started touching upon was the business model. How do you deploy those vehicles? How will that help the end consumer? So that thought process has to be there. And again, this is something which is very different from the ICE era. So, where the old traditional model of ownership was there. So again, there's a hint of a rental or subscription model. But going beyond that, how can we still make different models utilization highest possible, and innovate on the post life also, because that's another question that we will have to answer from a sustainability perspective, that even from ICE vehicles being shifting to EV, as well as now older EV vehicles, what can we do about it? I think there was some mention of refurbishing and all. So retrofitment, refurbishing. So those are the different models that we have to see, but those also have to be done at scale and at fast pace, because if you're talking about the number 30% by 2030, that would mean we will have maybe 10, 20 crores of old ICE vehicles getting junked somewhere else on the road or somewhere in the dump site. So we have to look at those models and get value out of those models. So that is the innovation on the business deployment side.
I believe that we were discussing yesterday, you also started working on the refurbishment side.
A little bit, yes.
Yes, great, great.
Right. Yeah. Adding to their ideas about the innovation, fundamentally, we'll have to work on the base material, or the material science is the core part of miniaturizing any of these things. So in the battery technologies, talks about, not as a battery, more of energy storage per se. From lithium ion, people are talking about hydrogen fuel cells, or the solid state batteries, sodium solid state batteries. Which certainly gives a lot of energy density, 30% more than the lithium ion, or less discharge rate and higher discharge cycles. A lot of advantages are there. Of course, this requires a lot of innovation. The patient cycles for the investors has to be really, really high. Probably the policies, the government grants should actually give that flexibility to the research organizations or the component manufacturers who are predominantly doing all these researches. Of course, these researchers are these days converging, even OEMs are also doing that. Anything of new disruption should start at the startup than the enterprise, because enterprise always looks at return on investment quickly. So that way, it is a long cycle, but something is already seen by the whole world, not just been adopted. So in principle, in India especially, we'll have to focus more on this material science, which is not really given more focus for days so far. That would solve this problem.
I think material innovation is the next cycle that we will look at.
As most of the points being covered by the co-panelist, I think the summary that I can do is that we all need to equally contribute in that ecosystem, starting from the manufacturing. Then I've been privileged to be a part of sales, and I've understood and I've got the experience to deal with the end consumer. I got to know a lot of things in terms of what are the real challenges which they face in the ground, and those needs to be solved. Like, for example, when we talk about, most importantly, it's the product. Today, if you look at the numbers of electric vehicle, I think overall we are contributing close to 6 to 7% now. And the number could have been higher if we had a low speed version that we've been selling from the last 5 years. But the kind of quality we are delivering to the market is something which is questionable. And as Gaurav rightly mentioned, that if you just add up those numbers which we have sold so far, probably you may not be so confident in terms of making that market. And that's the only reason why there's no refurbished market for electric two-wheeler or three-wheeler. So we understand that point, and we are equally focused on that. Coming up as an OEM, we ensure that when it comes to the quality of the product, we make sure that the quality is good enough to sustain, because end of the day, it is a two-wheeler or three-wheeler which needs to run. Somebody needs to go somewhere. Somebody needs to use it probably to make or to earn bread and butter. The kind of products our conventional manufacturers are making, I think we need to think on those lines and make a good quality product. And I think this is what the contribution being an OEM we can do. We can expect similar kind of support. And yes, I think we already had this discussion what government is trying to do with their policies. But yes, what I feel and what I really see is, I look forward to is that the policy implementation at the ground really needs to be audited on a real-time basis. That what are the benefits that really going down to the customer. So that needs to be reevaluated on a regular time, so that the market can be built up accordingly.
Understood. So there's a recent change in geopolitical stances. So, but China plus one has always been there. Now, US has called out, asking manufacturers set up across the world to come back to the US. Probably relevant to people who are having global aspirations. So, how are you looking at that particular geopolitical cases in your international business scenario that you would want to go? Probably very apt for you to start with that.
Yeah. So I always say, everything was against us and everything is against us. So, nevertheless, see, I mean, let's say, I think what's happening is good in a way. So it's a message to the legacy OEMs in India that you should stop sitting pretty and start thinking about more innovation and probably go deeper, right? So it's not just about assembling and trying to play the protectionism sort of a play. Given the fact that the import duties are reduced from 110% to 15%, so perhaps this is a big disruption. Right? So, but there is an opportunity as well. So I think there is more emphasis on ecosystem now than any time else. So predominantly, if you look at China and the US, the sort of the gameplay, US is more like a playing on the demand side, right? So my citizens are empowered, so they have the cash on hand, so they can consume. Whereas the China is on the supply side, whereas I can build every junk that is possible that you can consume, right? So I think it's also a question as a nation, we need to sort of soul search as to what is our playbook right now. So are we on the demand side, are we on the supply side? And then channelize all our policies and frameworks towards that. Right now it feels a little bit, we're all over the place at some time. But yeah, I think that's also something to sort of look into as an evolution. As far as OEMs are concerned, so I think, specifically for Moonrider, so our primary market is East Africa, and we're looking at India. So right now we are, not doing anything around US and Europe. So that way it is less of an impact. But yes, some components has to be imported. That is where the challenges are. But I think it's also in the next 3 to 4 months you will be far more clear as to where we are heading. Right now it's just too much to consume, quite frankly.
Hareesha, what's your take on this?
Yeah. Sure. We as a component supplier, especially electronics component supplier to this EV segment or automotive segment, are largely dependent on imports. So we really don't make microcontroller or microprocessor chips, or even the simplest resistor capacitors are also actually getting imported. Maybe it will all go back to 1980s, the policy paralysis where the manufacturing was missed out. Everybody, maybe including me, went before the software and a lot of those things. So today, the globalization, everything opened up, everybody was seamlessly interacting. But because of these geopolitical instances today, things are happening in silos, and everybody is now becoming in their independent world to self-sustain, self-rely on themselves. Now the manufacturing has become a tough job for India because one is about lack of experience. Not huge crowd is actually with that experience. At the same time, raw material, is a big issue. Of course, policies have been coming up to set up semicons, component manufacturing, raw material, all of this, which really helps companies like ours to, have them sourced internally and then cater to Indian market. In this geopolitical things, just to quote an example, 2 to 3 weeks ago, one of our a friend who actually into R&D of a lot of these electronic components wanted to do a charging station design and other things because he got a kind of an opportunity some 4 or 5 months ago from the US. But today, looking at the uncertainties of tariff plans, which is changing every day, if you look at the Financial Express newspaper, the tariff is changing like a gold rates in US. So he stopped the research, thinking that it's quite certain that there is an uncertainty. So he stopped R&D. Rather, he would focus on something else. So that's the kind of situation what we are actually envisaging.
Understood. You want to take it?
Yeah, I just would like to add on this. In fact, I think the So I just mentioned the point in terms of government policies, but every coin is a flip side though. So since we are talking and since at a global platform, we know the kind of geopolitics is happening. So we do have certain advantages as well. Government tend to think that what would happen if we be so dependent on lithium? And lithium, when it comes to, if you look at the globally, I mean, China owns most of the mines and overall. So what should we do? How should we cater this problem? Because we can manage somehow Iran, but China is a difficult ball game altogether. What I could presume. So I've seen government investing in some fresh chemistries. Like one of the common example is aluminium air. If Maya would have been here, there's a company called Finergy from Israel. So Indian government has invested more than 15% in that organization just to see how we can make aluminium air battery. Why aluminium? Because India holds the 5th largest mines of aluminium, and if this works, and it could be a win-win solution for us. So yes, probably because of geopolitics, we tend to think like that. Otherwise, we would have adopted. Otherwise, FAME 1, FAME 2, FAME 3, we have 3 certain policy norms, but when it comes to the battery, I think every time it gives a disappointment to most of the OEMs. And this is the major point which somehow makes us reluctant or probably push us back in order to scale up. Because when it comes to batteries, it is a capital intensive model. So चीजें बड़ी अलग direction में चली जाती हैं. When so yes, there are good things also because such kind of investment, such kind of R&D investment, and that too when you see that Indian government is investing in such a way, it gives a hope that yes, something good is going to happen. In fact, the last update that I received was that now Mahindra has started testing the aluminum air battery with their commercial e-rickshaw, which is a good sign. I think if it works, probably the next, before hydrogen, before sodium, you would see aluminum coming up online.
Yeah.
So, the entire ecosystem is dependent on batteries, and then the power electronics, and then the motor, like it's a part of like magnetic and electrical component. So if you see, I basically talk about the from the component perspective for which goes into EVs, at the same time which goes into the charging infrastructure. So when we talk about fast charging, it's a full stack of power electronics components that goes inside the entire big charger. When we talk about 360 kilowatt charging or 500 kilowatt charging, it is a next level of product which we are so we are very fortunate that we have been developing from the grassroots level of these power electronics, and it's not just power electronic, it is power electronics plus system integration of the control system which communicates with the vehicle, specifically when we talk about the high voltage charging like 900 volts or beyond that 200 300 amps situations. So with respect to the globalization, 5 years back if you go, every charger you see in India was from China, and every chargers you see back then 5 years that from the EESL 1000 chargers deployment, 90% of them are not operational today, and vandalism and other things keeping that beyond. So the power electronics, India is not that ready. We're dependent on China. Any charging infrastructure, there's like if you see the charging infrastructure company or overall ecosystem, somebody is developing the chargers like OEM. Somebody is operating these chargers. Somebody is making the software to operate these chargers, and somebody is installing these chargers, and the discom is giving the electricity. So if you combine all these stakeholders, then only the infrastructure is built upon. And at the same time, the vehicles. So standardization of the protocol and other things, keeping that aside, still is a big transition we are talking about. And manufacturing these things in India and getting self-reliant, like in terms of like 100% manufacturing and 100% made in India product, it is still we are into that space. If you talk about the entire charging infrastructure space, few things are coming from China, few things are coming from Germany or other things. When we talk about reliability, then for us, I'll tell you, I think 3 years down the line, when we were encountering multiple failures. So I'll say 3.5 years we had been like each and every day I used to just think about when the green light will come. So because we have been working on the power electronics system integration and then the overall since we have a battery in the platform also, then all these things we have been working on. And the one fine day we got November 23rd, 3rd of November, the green light came. So that gave me confidence. Yes, we can make in India if we have a right set of thought process, if we have a right set of intention. Because we had an option ki China jao leke aao. We didn't go that. We didn't do that. We focused on ki 100% make in India kaise kare. So that's the important factor. And now we have been like reached out by multiple Middle East people as well as US. Somebody in the US. I'd not say like, we have not started like deploying the products in the mass scale. But these people are coming to me and then asking me, hey boss, can you supply it from to the US? We are fed up. So I was talking to one of the UK-based charging as a service, supplier, the operator. I think the name was Ferry Electric, something in the UK based. I was talking to the founder Edley. So he said, boss, I'm fed up with these Chinese people. It works well. The moment anything comes in, we have to get in touch with them, and they do not come here.
Replacement is a big thing.
Replacement is only the thing. So now they have called us, and then we are still in the form of conversation. But yes, we are fortunate enough that we will be able to do that. So
all the best on that, please.
Just wanted to add one comment. This is about geopolitics, and from startups founders' perspective, what I would say that policy, geopolitics, to keep that aside. Build your model. Think what you have to do. Go get it. These will come and go. It doesn't make a big difference. You forge your path without thinking about these things. Yes, they will have an impact, but you have to make your path without accounting for these things.
Perfect. So one question, I think we are on a short of time. So last question that we want to have, since we have the investor sitting in front of you. So probably how do you think your equity investors and financiers can strengthen EV companies in their journey to overall take the ecosystem forward beyond money? What else are you expecting from them? For your perspective, I think you can start, and from there you can take it on.
So I think if you see 5 years down the line, when this actual transition happens, people were getting into ki, hey, let's put the way, as I said, we cannot treat the way how we are treated specifically on the charging infrastructure side. The petrol station jaise hote hain, वैसे we have to put the charging infrastructure. So a thought process and the visualization, what tomorrow will look like, empathizing and understanding how the market would look like tomorrow, because everybody is into the R&D phase. If you talk about EV ecosystem, what will work 10 years down the line, we have to take a good bet and then get into that. So from the investor point of view, what I would think of, I'll not be, it's like we have to get in a deep dive, get in the deep dive and see what is actually happening, not on the gimmicky world or something. So that's what I think we should work on that way.
Thanks.
Okay. So I think that's a very important question, right? So how do we collaborate, with the investors? So predominantly, if you look at least from a vehicle manufacturer or a vehicle technology company standpoint, so there are three pillars, right? So you have the product, distribution, and financing, right? So if you have control over all three of these pillars, then you are winning the market, right? At least you should have two of the three with you, and that's where the context, the content, connections, and the capital comes into picture. So that's where we should collaborate much at a deeper level, right? So that is one. The three questions, I'm sure all of us share this, right? So these are the holy sort of statements and questions that the founders have, right? So have you raised then are you pre-revenue, and when are you going to be profitable? So I think so it's kind of I keep telling this. So other than my wife letting me know that I'm not taking care of the kids. These are the three questions that it pops up in my mind every now and then. So that's where we need to sort of, at a deeper level, connect with the equity investors or investors in general as to what it means for them when it comes to these three questions, and how do we sort of help each other to sort of solve for these things. So that's when I think we could take it forward.
Great.
So what we personally look forward to from our investors and future investors is obviously collaborations. We need to forge new partnerships, and best way is for someone who believes in you, has put money behind you, to be able to open that door for you. So that's one of the most important things that I look from my investors. Second would be to give us a directional sense. I would not say give us directional, but directional sense of where we are going, where we'll be in the next year, year after that. Not in terms of numbers, but in terms of the thought process and other things. And third would be to literally be sort of a mouthpiece for ourselves. So promote our brand. That is very important. Those are the three things that I would want from my equity investors. And I think the question also had a part about the financial investors. So people who help us get access to debt capital. They are also very important partners in our growth, and in the overall ecosystem. Debt is a big component. So there we have to look at, how can they work on their business models to leverage more for a particular balance sheet that they have in front of them, because that is going to unlock growth for us and growth for them. So that is something that they will have to innovate on their processes and plans.
Thanks, Gaurav.
Yeah, I think most of the points have been covered. Fundamentally, the capital is required to scale ourselves up to reach out to the larger customer base, and also qualify our products certifiable and high quality, so that it reaches beyond the domestic market, so that we can actually go leverage the international market. Because EV ecosystem is not just only for India, largely for the rest of the world as well, which we would like to tap. So certainly we look forward for an empathetic approach to course correct ourselves, if whatever we have planned, and secondly about reaching our products, like what he rightly said, Gopi. So he really has to promote our brand and really make it more qualitative and understand our product and enhance or bring about those changes, because they have this commercial mindset as well, and reach out to larger other audiences where the products are being done, or discussions, forums, consortiums. So that qualitative approach is very essential for founders like us, because we really can't be present everywhere. So this collaboration really helps, and that contextual way of dealing with the things to make our growth journey really helpful. That's what we look forward for.
Great. Thanks, Hareesha.
Well, the question should be not applicable for me, but I'll take that. I think there are three essential things that which is very important to do a business. What I feel is definitely money. Second is you should have a good product, and the third is you should have a right team in place. If you have the right set of people, if anything is missing out of it, probably you may not be able to either make a good business or to scale up. Now, definitely money is important. So when we collaborate, I think the idea is that when we do collaboration, apart from money, we do get financial guidance. And since they always look at the paper like term sheets, compliances, black and white. See, India is an emotional country. We take emotions before economy. And when we raise a startup, if you look at the entrepreneurs from Europe, from America, they are very practical. However, when it comes to Indian demographics, they are quite emotional with that brand. So collaboration with a venture capitalist or with an investor, it's like a reality check. Where are you standing right now? And probably just by adding someone to your group, it's like adding one good team member in your vision. So if together we can find out why, then how becomes easy. So I think yes, that's what should we look forward to.
Great. So probably I'll do one area that I've been getting a lot of questions around from the initial stage of companies, from the investor side, is the setting up of your core team. I think setting up of your core team, you might come with 1, 2, 3 co-founders, but it's all good. But in order to go from that 0 to 1 stage, you need to have a right set of mentors or advisors. Probably, I think investors are best suited to guide them or show direction on that path, because that is where I think 90% of the startups today are dying because of a good team. Apart from capital can only be an enabler, team can only take it too far. So that's probably my feedback that I've received from a lot of people. Okay, gentlemen, I think.
And I'll just add to it. I mean, when it comes to company, I think we start up a company not to make money. Our money is a fuel to the car. I mean, it's not the at the end of the day. It's the destination that we are driving.
True. Having a sense of larger purpose makes things easier.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for
Right.
being here,
you.
being great panelists, and thank you.
Thank you.